Greetings, I'm Databot 9000 and I'm here to introduce you to the Singapore Tableau user group Livestream. It's the first one we've done, so hopefully all the bugs have been ironed out, and yeah, we'll be starting shortly. See you soon. Hi, Databot 9000 back here again to just tell you whilst you're waiting, why not check out this link to find out more about the Singapore Tableau user group. Here you better look at our Tableau public information page of when the next upcoming events are, where they are and when. And also you can join the LinkedIn group to stay connected with everyone. Are you filling it out? I can't tell. I'll assume you are. Okay, see you soon. Bye. Hi, whilst you're waiting, I'll tell you a few Data Viz related jokes. Hopefully they don't scare you away. Okay. I made a graph showing my past relationships. It had an x-axis and a y-axis. Okay, joke number 2. Never trust maths teachers who use graph paper. They're always plotting something. Okay, this one's better. Did you hear about the famous analyst at the Ford Motor Company? People were always asking him for his autographs. Okay, this one's gold, I promise. What's a sheep's favorite graph type? A bar graph. Okay, there's only enough fun for one time, so I'm going to leave you now, and yeah, we're going to start shortly. See you soon. Bye. Hi, Databot 9000 back again. Just want to say thanks to all the speakers we've got today, and also for you, the audience. Given these challenging times where we're probably having to work from home, it's great to see that we can still engage with you and help the community remotely via this live stream. So thank you for turning up, and look, hopefully we don't have to do too many more of these. But if the situation continues, we'll keep pumping them out. And the great thing is, this is global; anyone can join. So even though it says Singapore Tableau User Group, tell your friends wherever you are, and you can check it out. And the best thing is, because this is on YouTube, it's recorded. So essentially, you're going to be able to see this later as well. So if you're watching this in the past, hello. But equally, you can share it with people if they missed it live. So thanks again. We're excited to bring this to everyone. And we hope you enjoy it. And we're going to start very soon. The countdown time is nearly ended. So watch this space. Bye. Okay, and I'm just hearing that we're good to go. So without further ado, here's the Singapore Tableau User Group live stream. Enjoy!
Hello everybody, welcome to this month's Tableau User Group. Super excited to welcome you all here. Thanks for joining us. My name is Ja, and along with me are some of my colleagues. So we have Sarah, Celine, and David. It's great to see everybody once again. So we thought, what could we put together this month that would get people really excited and participate, and maybe do a little bit of hands-on work after our session as well, and CVs that are built in Tableau are all the rage these days, and we thought maybe it'd be something fun to share some tips with you on these. And you'll see in today's session that each one of us has presented and created a CV, and they're all a little bit different. So the whole idea behind it is to make it fun, to make it interesting, and to make it different. So I encourage everybody afterwards to maybe take some of the things that they learned today and build your own, publish it and share it. Could be really fun for us. So to kick off, I'd like to share with you guys my CV here. If we could pull up the slide there. I've opted to keep it really simple, one color scheme, and really highlight kind of that experience piece as a timeline, and make a fun little visualization here. So simple tips, and then we're going to go into talking about how we built them. And the idea behind mine was, hey, you can do this in under an hour, right? With a little bit of Excel or Google Sheet, popping it into Tableau. There's 3 simple sheets, and we'll get you on your way. So the first tip is really just structure your data, keep it simple. I'll share my screen in a little bit so you can see how I've structured it, but structure your data, keep it simple on Google Sheets or Excel. I'll teach you guys how to create a rounded bar chart effect. And then we're going to learn how to create the little bubbles for the timeline. And lastly, I'll show you how to leverage a little bit of annotations there, and it's okay to use them, right? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So we'll go ahead and fill that out.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how you make that chart at the bottom, Jar. I've seen it a lot, but I've not seen anyone create it.
Oh, absolutely. So that'd be great. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen like that. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Fantastic. Awesome. And so just to kind of give you an overall layout view, right? I tried to keep it right in like an A4 paper size, and then I've really just broken this up into 3 to kind of 4 sections. So we have that skills piece, that experience piece, and then underneath here there's another section that is a contact us, and then at the above this is really just the title and a text box. So I'm just keeping it to 4 simple sheets. First thing that we want to look at is how to structure the data. I kept it really simple using Excel, but again, could have used Google Sheets there, which what I believe is how Sarah did that. So taking a look at my sheets, I made one specific sheet for each one of these sections. So for the timeline, really just a couple of simple columns. You can make this as long or as short as you'd like. Broke this down by type, professional, academic, what company I worked for, their website, title, and a little bit of a description there. And then just to make it easy for Tableau to recognize, I created 2 columns, one being city, the other being country. And if you wanted to, you could use the map features to create a little interactive map there as well. And then you also need your started on and your ended on. And that's really it, right? So simplicity is key. For skills, you'll see that it's even simpler. You can obviously add in your languages, your certifications in here. I chose to make mine a little humorous, but also focusing here on Tableau. And I've rated myself. So there's some probably bias there as well, right? But let's look at the contact information. Lastly, how to get in touch with you. These are just links that I've brought in. And obviously with Tableau's dashboarding features, we can make it at the click of a button, go to each one of these contacts. Okay, great. So now that you have that, pop it into Tableau. I've connected to each one of these sheets. For the skills sheet, you can see here that there's a little bit of magic that's happening here, because you'll see it's actually measure values that's on columns instead of just the proficiency that I've rated myself. And just to break this down, I will change this to a regular bar chart, right? And we'll take measure names off here just for a second. And I made an average of 0 here. So I'll just break this down all the way back to, sorry, you might hear my dog there. Just a simple bar chart, right? So all this is proficiency, what I rated myself, the skill level, right? That's on rows. And then I have proficiency again into tooltip. How do we make this a rounded bar chart? Well, a little trick that we're going to use is we're actually going to use line, and we also need to put measure values on path, right? So I made a calculation here that's called the average of 0, and my right click seems to want to not do that. So I can't edit the calculation. Well, that's fine. If that doesn't want to work, not a big deal. For some reason, right after I right click, it changes. So that's fine, but just make a calculation here. That's the average of 0. Once you do that, we can go ahead and bring measure values on columns, right? And then you take everything off, and now I have my, if you look at this average of 0, my sum of proficiency there, I have measure names on detail, which doesn't give me that rounded look. But then if I go ahead and change my marks from automatic to a line, and then I choose and put my measure names on path, gives me a nice rounded bar chart. Then you click on size, max that out, and then they give you a rounded bar chart. So just a little magic there to give it a different look. If you don't want the flat bar charts, this is a nice little way to add that. And then then we do some formatting, remove all the lines, remove all the background lines there by going into format, clearing up the headers, right? And you're able to change those. So very straightforward, that's there. The second piece to this sheet is the Experience tab. Now this requires a few more steps. The first thing that you're going to want to do is create a date difference calculation. So I'll go ahead, right, and put that on there. If we do a date difference calc, what you can do is you're able to select if you want the month or the day here, up to you, right? And then you can take your start and your end date. That'll give you how many days that are in there. And we need that, as you can see, for me creating this calculation that's called the midpoint, right? What essentially we're doing here is we are, instead of taking the normal date where I've started, I'm going to create a midpoint calculation that takes the distance between these, when I started and when I ended, and divide that by 2, and then add that to the date start point, which gives me that middle center point. What this really is a circle just right there. And then I increase the size of the circle so that it's that big, right? And then what happens is that I fake create an axis at 0, and then I just cut off the axis so that I'm only seeing half of this. And so really straightforward. And every time I right click, it doesn't let me view it. So, okay, might have to come back to this. Must be some kind of weird bug there for me. That's very strange. Technical issues, that happens, but that's all right. Well, you can see here that if I do click my pin button, that will pin my view, and it's really just these circles going across. And if I showed you this header, right click, which it won't let me as well. Oh, that's really, everything gets limited if you can't get left click or even right click on. Okay, well, what's happening here is that I do have an axis that's here. And what I'm essentially doing is it's going and starting at 0, and I'm just choosing to say, you know what, let's cut off everything underneath that, and then that's what is showing this view. The second piece that you'll need is to fake create an axis, and I did that by simply creating the sum of 0 here, and what that'll do is it creates an imaginary axis. You can see here 0. And then I just fix the view, so I'm only showing between 0 and 1, and we cut off everything underneath that. So if I would and could right-click this, I'd right-click that, go to edit the axis, or right-click this, edit the axis, change it to fixed, and remove the view from automatic and only show it from 0 to 1. And really, that's the heart of the trick. I'll go ahead and post the calculation in there for you guys in the chat once I stop sharing my screen so you can see it. All of that is based off of this midpoint calculation, which I've uploaded to Tableau Public. So you're welcome to download this resume, reverse engineer it, and take what you need. And then the rest of these little bubbles here, these are all annotations, right? So don't be afraid to use annotations. It's a simple annotation that we can move and drag and drop. And so it's a little bit different than how we usually kind of teach and saying we're trying to keep it less wordy. It's just another interesting way for us to display this information while still keeping it visually interesting. And lastly, the last sheet that I have is a contact me sheet. And these are custom shapes, right? So each one of these is a custom shape. Whenever you install Tableau, we have a folder in My Documents called My Tableau Repository. And if you go into that folder, go into Shapes, you can create a new folder that's just called Custom Shapes and take all the images that you would find that could be in PNGs inside of that folder. And then once you go into Shapes, you can see I have my my custom shapes. If you just hit reload shapes after you put your images inside, they'll get pinged inside, and then you can make this. And then I've just simply put it together into a dashboard, edited the sizing, and changed this into a letter portrait there to make it straightforward. So you can build it under an hour, play with the formatting, keep it simple, keep it clean. I hope you found it useful. I'm going to go ahead and stop presenting. I'll pass it over to Sarah, who's going to show you another style, and hopefully you'll like that as well.
Great, thanks, Jar. I think that's awesome. I've always wanted to know how to make that, and I think maybe something that we could start trending is the fake create. I like the sound of that.
Fake create, I like that.
Fake create. Okay, so just following on from Jar here, I'm just waiting for this to load. Here we go. Okay, awesome. So my CV follows a similar format. I really wanted to keep it clean, clear, and simple, and also an A4. I think that's really important. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I see like long, in-depth CVs, I kind of don't want to read too much of them. And I think the real beauty about doing this in Tableau is making it really interactive. So I used Google Sheets. I used 6 tabs. And in this example that I created here in Tableau, I've got 7 sheets. The first 2, overview and community, pretty straightforward. I'm actually going to walk you through the business experience and the blue square, how I built that. The education piece is using shapes that Jar's just talked about. So I've actually got my high school. Managed to hunt down on the internet and find my old high school emblem there, and then my university one as well. And then training, I just did some basic shapes. The only special thing I probably did here just to get the dots across was just to turn off the aggregated measures. That was the only trick to that one. Gia mentioned around using custom shapes for contact, which is pretty much what I've done here. Again, similar to Gia, I've kept it pretty basic on the color palette. And one other thing that I did do here is I just got my my photo and put it with a kind of a PNG circle behind it. And I ended up doing that in Photoshop. But if you're more familiar with, say, PowerPoint or something like that, it's a pretty easy hack to do just to get it all together and show it in there. And I think one other thing that I did in this example as well is I really took advantage of like using padding. These are all titles, so real basic formatting tricks. I use some containers. So the top one is a container. This is a container. This one actually is floating, but I'll show you the reason why behind that. And then right at the end, I just had one floating here over the link to the Google Sheet. So basically, I think this is got 7 sheets in it, 2 dashboard actions. Everything except for 2 things are floating. So let's get into Tableau. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to live build the business experience section for you here now. And I did it pretty easily. So if we just... Okay, so I'm just going to come in here and create a sheet, and I'm just going to call that business experience. Okay, and I've got my data set here. I'm actually just going to quickly flick to the Google Sheets that I've got. Now I've provided the link in the dashboard, and we'll share the link to the dashboard, and I'll make it public soon. So a few little tricks that I did. I decided to keep each individual section separate because I didn't think they were really linked, and the kind of the setup of them was very different. But the roles one is the one we're going to focus on. And in the blue section on the CV, you would have noticed that I had quite a detailed lot that looked at my current role. And I did quite a cool little hack here. And I actually brought in a Unicode, which gave me like almost, what do we call it, fake create, a bullet point there. So that was one little trick that I picked up along the way. Another thing I did here is I implemented a role ID and also I think I've got a company order as well. So just bear in mind that. And again, I've given this all as a link. So later on, if you want to come in and reverse engineer it, then feel free to do so. So I've just created a sheet here, and I'm going to come in and create this kind of lollipop time series. So let's do that. One of the things I like to do here is just format my title. So I'm going to give it my blue shading. And along with that, I'm just going to format it. I always stick to Tableau fonts. I don't know, I've got a love relationship with Tableau fonts. I'm going to do that, and that keeps that all standard. And I'm going to connect to my roles data. And here I'm going to bring in my company order. Then I'm going to bring in my start date. So that's company order into rows and start date into columns. And I'm going to change that start date to today. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to bring my end date up here, and I'm going to change that to today as well. I'm going to synchronize these dual axes, and I'm also going to synchronize them. Okay, I'm going to create a quick calculation. So I want to get a line here. Call that duration. There we go. And I'm going to just come up here to start date, and I'm going to bring that onto size, and that's going to give me a line. So that's going to give me a line between the time that I started that role and ended that role. It's going to reduce that down a little bit. Go. And so that's automatic. Effectively, it is a Gantt. That's what it's automatically selected. And for end date, I'm going to change this to a circle. So there we go. Now, the reason I did company order is I actually, I was in a role for a while in New Zealand, and I went to the UK and went to another role, and then I went back. So that's just helping me kind of get that. There's a little bit of a hack that I've worked out on the data that I wanted to do. I'm going to come in here and just make that the entire view. Just reduce the size of that again a little bit more. Now I'd like to have a label here. So what I've got is I'd like to have my company as a label. Now you'll see here where I've been in 3 different roles, it's doubling up. So another little trick here that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up most recent, and then I'm going to do by cell. And that's a nice little trick that's just going to limit that there. I like to use Tableau Medium. And and match the color. So there we go. Okay. Now, what I also want to do is I wanted to, you would have seen earlier on, I had a blue square here, and I'd actually highlighted the one that was on the blue square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into role ID, which we saw in the sheet. So if I just quickly go back to here, I just had kind of listed all the different roles just with an ID, basically. It's going to come in here, and I'm going to create a set. Super easy. Create a set. I'm going to choose my current role as the set, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to do size. Now you'll see by default, city has now gone tiny, tiny, and the rest are bigger. I'm just going to come in and edit that. So I'm going to reverse it. I'm just going to Make that a little bit different there. And there you can see that city is now bigger and the rest are a little bit smaller. Okay. And one more thing I'm going to do with the set is I'm just going to pull it in on color as well, just to make that a little bit easier to see. I'm going to put my out color. Actually, that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come and do my color here. I'm just going to make it like a kind of a grey color. Keep it fussy sometimes, so I think we can just make it the same color as that circle there. There we go. Okay, so I've pretty much got my time series lollipop chart, I'm going to call it. Just going to do some quick formatting. I'm going to hide these. I'm going to hide this. And here we go. Okay, awesome. So what I can do now is I've got this. I'm going to drag it in here. I'm going to get rid of that. Yep. Get rid of this, which is my placeholder. And here we can see I've got my business experience. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to know like more details on this particular one here. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to create another sheet, again on roles. I'm just going to name it roles. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to effectively drag in some information. So I want to know my role. Now you'll see I'll get all of them here. So I'm going to use my set again. I'm just going to make this an entire view like that. And I know I want to keep it at the top. There we go. And I'm going to bring in my role description. Actually, no, I don't want that one. I want the city I was in and the country and I want my start date and my end date, and also my role details. Now that was the one I fake created with my bullets there. And I can come in here and I can do some formatting, but first of all, I'm going to just change this to be my month and year. So you'll see that's updated there, and I can come in here and really take some ownership of what this looks like. I can format this however I want, really. Like this. I think I want to put my company in there as well. So let me just like that. I like to use a kind of grey tone for that. Put a little bit of formatting there, and I might just grab company and put it here. And what did that do? There we go. Company and maybe my department. A little quick bit of formatting. And then I want that to be a little bit more prominent. But you get the idea. I mean, just formatting away. So there we go. I'm going to turn my tooltips off for this particular one. Okay. So there we go. And in this, I'm going to just format it just going to add a nice little background color here. Maybe something like this will do. Okay. And in this particular example, I'm going to actually float that in. Let's go float, and then I'm just going to grab this one. I'm going to hide my title. And there we go. So we've got that there. But now I'd like to make a set action, which is a awesome feature. So I'm going to come up to dashboard here and come into actions, and I'm going to, oh, I know there's one thing I forgot. Okay, so because I'm doing this based on row ID, I know that I need to have row ID in the detail of here as well. So I'm just going to drag row ID in here. Okay. Then I'm going to come up and I'm going to create an action here, and I'm going to create a set action, and I'm going to make it based on this business experience. I'm going to make it on select, and I'm going to do it on roles, and it's going to allow me to select that particular set that I created. And on clearing section, I want to keep set values. So that's all I'm really doing. I'm going to go OK and OK. And now hopefully when I select here, it will update. There we go. So I have published this up for everyone to look at. I do hope you have a go yourself. Feel free to download it. It will be up there for download. There's a link at the bottom of the sheet to go into my Google Sheet, so you can take that as well and alter it to yourself. And yeah, have a go, and hashtag SGTugCV, and I will share the link on the chat as well. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. Back to you, Gia.
Oh, that was really awesome, Sarah. Thank you so much for doing that. I love to hand it over, I think, to our next presenter. And David, would you care to share your screen and share us your version of the CV that you put together?
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for all your feedback on the layout of this stream. We definitely will work to fix that for next time, so the screen shares get more real estate. So no, thank you for that. We do listen, and we'll make sure that's there. But yes, hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm David, and I'm going to take you through just some more general data visualization best practices on building CVs. I mean, the great news is Tableau, as you've seen with these two great examples just before me, do that kind of already out the box. But I've just had some experience and a lot of success with some CV tips I've given out to people and speaking to recruiters that, just wanted to share them with you today. But for those of you who don't know me, I used to be on the Tug, but I'm also run a website and YouTube channel called Datasaurus-Rex. You're on it right now, watching us on YouTube. I used to be a Zen master, just super passionate about data visualization in general, and just trying to help as many people learn and get better at it. If you think about it, right, a CV, what is the objective and what context does it sit in? Because those two things are going to help your CV succeed or fail. I mean, the most important thing is it's there to convey information about you, your skills and experience to either a hiring manager or a recruiter. And the trouble is they have so many. Your target audience is just going to have so many CVs. They're super busy with work. They're time poor and attention poor. So if all of that is running against them and you just have a 4-page wall of text CV, you're just lowering the chances of people finding the right information which does you justice and ultimately gets you hired for the role. And ironically, and I've been there myself, it's very hard for you to be objective because this is about you, right? Of course they're going to read those 4 pages and sift through it all because you're the most important person. But sadly, not to the recruiter. You need to help them do their job as easy as possible. And just having a bit of empathy with them and designing for that can just make your CV succeed so much more. The reason I mention this too is at my current job, Google, recruiters have reached out to me and they've seen my CV and they're like, we love it. Can you teach other people inside the company to like what you do, how you make your CV look good? Because it just helps us do our jobs a lot better and find the best candidates. So I'm going to dive in for a few tips and best practices. But essentially, I want to introduce you to a concept called pre-attentive attributes. And it's around the visual design theory and data visualization theory, where essentially, if you boil it down, it's visual cues to draw the eye. Okay, so like, and there are different ones, and I'll just kind of run them up here. But essentially, notice what's happening. As one of those shapes change, your eye is probably naturally drawn to it, right? As we go to added links, then my eye goes down to the bottom left with enclosure. Like these are all techniques you can do to make more important things stand out, or just when you're presenting, guide the eye of the user without being too obvious and having like loads of arrows pointing everywhere and just, yeah, being a mess. There's also another thing called Gestalt principles, where you subtly group things up. So you don't need to draw giant boxes around stuff. You can just kind of use quite a few techniques, which I won't go into detail today, but you'll see some in my CV where you see clear, distinct groups without being too overt with what you draw on the screen. Now, if you utilize both of these principles, yeah, as I said before, you are then more in control of guiding the user's eye or the viewer's eye to where you want to go. And typically that's going to be the most important pieces of information on a CV. Now that varies per role and per company, but if you know you're going for a sales role, you want to make sure you talk about how much money you've made in previous roles. If you're going into an operations role, you want to make sure that efficiencies you've driven, the insights you found stand out more than other bits of data. So I've used these principles in my CV, but again, you can apply all of these into Tableau, because I use Adobe Illustrator, but again, you can use any tool you want, PowerPoint, but I think Tableau is a great one because it makes it interactive and has a lot of design best practices built in. So I'd highly encourage you to use Tableau to build out a CV. But essentially, you can see here, I'm kind of, put the laser pointer on. You can see here how like there's distinct groups, right? So like I haven't needed to draw giant boxes. It's very clear. And again, your competition is just a wall of text, maybe with a couple of tiny headers. It's very hard to see where one piece of information starts and another begins or ends. So here it's very clear. There's a section, there's a section. So it sounds silly, but just when a recruiter's got 100 CVs, they're like, oh great, I know exactly where their key skills are. Found it. Education, found it. Like those half seconds, that reduction in cognitive load on your audience goes a long way. And just always nudges up your chances of them seeing the right information they need to hire you. Another example is bolding, line thickness. Really simple technique, but I don't see people use this often enough in CVs. Or they use it too much and it gets a bit weird. But notice how, as I mentioned earlier, I've bolded out like the key bits of information or like key things I know my recruiter might want to look for. This was actually when I sent my CV to Google and I was kind of ramping up my data analytics, online marketing, companies I've worked at. It goes a long way. And the recruiters love it. They're like, yes, that's what we're looking for. Great, you've made our job easy. You still have to have the skills and experience, but you're just making sure people actually see the right things. So essentially, the other thing I would mention is utilize logos if you can. They can be quite powerful. Now, there's a bit of a debate on this, but essentially, some people are against logos. I'm kind of for them if you do two things. One, if you mute the colors, so we're not fighting and against all the other visual information on the page. But two, only use them if they're kind of relevant. If there's some weird obscure logo, no one's heard of the company, then maybe don't include it. It could do more harm than good. But if you are fortunate enough to work at companies with memorable brands, definitely I would encourage putting them in. And with Tableau, you could use the like custom shapes to do that, or just put images in. So yeah, as I've already mentioned, good news for Tableau CVs. A lot of this is already built in. As you can see, when you snap text boxes around, it already creates borders to kind of create those Gestalt principle grouping effects. You have easy ability to bold, change colors, to make the, like Sarah did with her most recent role, like stand out, so it's more obvious. Yeah, and just make sure you, especially with Tableau, because I've seen some Tableau CVs which go a bit over the top, and they throw in loads of gimmicks, and it actually works to the detriment of conveying the information and achieving the objective of your CV. So yeah, still use everything you feel is relevant, but just make sure it doesn't clutter and overpower and confuse people when they're looking at your Tableau CV. So that's kind of overall, that's it. There's a bit of a high-level summary. I will link to a few things around Gestalt principles and pre-attentive attributes after this. And if you want to know a little bit more about the techniques I use in my CV, the link's here. I'll post it in the chat. And yeah, thank you very much. And if we have time for questions, I'm sure we'll answer anything you have at the end. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Celine, who's going to talk to you about, oh no, actually, sorry, Tajir. He's going to talk to you about the Tableau user group. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for that. For everybody that's here on the call, would love to invite you, if you're interested, to apply for joining our TUG leadership team in 2021. We would like to expand the team. We'd like to diversify our team, and we'd like to get more people involved for those that want to get involved. And so we've put up a link there that Sarah will help post into the chat. And if you could kindly take a minute to express your interest, we'd love to hear from you. I think what we're keen in understanding from you is, if you're interested, why are you interested? And what are some of the things that you'd like to contribute by joining? I think that would be really helpful for us to learn. And we will reach out to you at the end of the deadline. So we've set the deadline to be at the end of November, and we're looking to maybe bring on some new faces for us in 2021, and hopefully we'll be meeting in person instead of in this online format, but fingers crossed, and let's go from there. And we're looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you so much.
And we want to be t-shirt coordinated, like the three of us as well. I don't know if you can see that Celine, Gia, and myself have matching t-shirts on today.
That's right. There you go.
Okay, and I think with that, I shall talk about Tableau Conference-ish. So once again, I want to thank Jia, Sarah, and David for putting up such an awesome presentation today, walking us through their awesome CVs built in Tableau. I have a long way to go myself, but definitely want to pick up some of these tricks and build my own CV in Tableau. And I think we just barely scratched the surface in these 45 minutes with some high-level tricks. There's definitely a lot more to do, especially if you're starting out. And what better way to do this than at Tableau Conference-ish, which I'll share and talk about a little bit more. So Tableau Conference, I'm sure all of you have heard of it and know about this event. It's our global conference that happens every year in October. Unfortunately, this year we are all stuck in our home countries, so it will be a virtual event, and it's a little like the original event, so it's same-ish, but it's also at the same time different-ish, and that's why it's called Tableau Conference-ish. What is it? It's a virtual conference, 100% free and open to everyone all over the world. It will be running 6th to 8th of October. So in Asia Pacific, that's 7th to 9th of October. It will be run across 3 days, 195 countries, and over 100,000 data lovers are expected to attend. So if you've not saved yourself a seat, I will share the link later, and you go ahead and register and save yourself a seat. It will be run across 3 time zones, so that's 72 hours of great content and data insights. You won't want to miss all of these sessions. There's so much to see. over 100 different episodes, inspiring keynotes. Tableau community will be a very big part at Tableau Conference-ish this year. So there's going to be a lot of channels that feature Tableau ambassadors and user group leaders, as well as customer speakers, and you won't want to miss that. We have keynotes and that includes our fan favorite Iron Viz, so you don't want to miss that. We also have a lot of Tableau community content, so that's where I will. That's where that's where someone will share more about interactive CVs. We also have virtual brain dates, Tableau doctor appointments, and much more. This is like a high level schedule overview of what will be happening at the event. And some of our key featured speakers, we have Thi Ho from Singapore. She's our newest Tableau ambassador, so very happy to welcome her. She will be featured at the community sessions and will be speaking. We also have Juan Kangrawan, who was featured at our last Southeast Asia user group. So he's the head of data analytics at Jakarta Smart City, representing Southeast Asia as well as Asia Pacific. We're very happy to have him on these sessions as well. There are different types of episodes during this conference, so it's not just a one type of video watching streaming kind of thing. You'll have broadcast channels, you'll have on-demand video catalogs, and you'll have featured keynotes. So check out the agenda, check out the sessions, and you can also build your own schedule based on what is appealing, what is relevant to you. And so the session that I was mentioning earlier, if you want to learn more about interactive CVs in addition to what was covered today, you can do so at TC-ish. So after you registered, you want to sign in to this awesome platform, head on over to What to Watch and click on the episode guide. And just do a little search for resumes. So that's what it's called. It's how to build an interactive resume in Tableau Part 1 and Part 2. And once you click on them, you can add them to your watch list. You can save them to your calendar so that you won't miss them. So in APAC, these sessions will be run in a APAC-friendly time zone on the last day. So that's October 9th, 12:30 to 1 for the first part and 1 to 1:30 for the second part. So what's left to do, head on over to our registration page and save yourself a virtual seat. I'll leave this page on here for a little while so you can scan this QR code and sign up.
Well, that's awesome, Celine. Thanks so much for that. I mean, one good thing about Tableau Conference being virtual is that virtually anybody can attend. No pun intended. Because previously not everyone was able to go, and so this is a great way for us to still be able to connect and attend the conference while being in the comforts of our homes in PJs. So there you go.
Exactly. And I think this year's lineup is going to be awesome. Have you guys heard? We have John Legend who's going to be featured, and I'm sure he's going to perform for us too. So I'm very excited and looking forward to that.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, awesome. And there is one question around the SG Tug leadership team. So at the moment, you can see us all, we're all here. So Sarah, Gia, and Celine. It is the three of us. And in terms of what we usually do is we meet up. Obviously, it's virtual at the moment. And we discuss what we want to plan. We typically try and run a Tableau user group every 2 months. Collectively, we kind of assign the administration tasks as well as content and sourcing, presenters, thinking about content, working with other Tableau user groups to see if there's anything that we're missing that we should be doing better. Yeah, I think Gia, do you want to add anything more to the question there?
We eat pizza.
We love the pizza.
I think our objective is really to evangelize and support the Tableau community, and so I think all activities related to helping support the Tableau community here in Singapore, either network with each other, whether it's to share tips and tricks, whether it's to promote certain community events like conference, like some internal meetups that we're hosting. It's really just to provide another source of information and resources outside of let's say Tableau forums and maybe your internal Tableau community. So you can think of us as kind of an external public center of excellence for Tableau users in Singapore. And now virtually, so it's going to be right for Southeast Asia, where we network with other tugs as well. So it's really a good place to expand your Tableau knowledge and make some friends around a topic that we all are passionate about.
That's right. And so we are in October now, so we'll plan one more tug for this year, and typically we try and do a wrap up of the year. It will be virtual this year, but we'll plan something fun, and probably a quiz and some fun prizes and things like that for next.
Absolutely.
For the final tug.
Yeah, this year has mostly been virtual for us, if not all virtual, I think. Isn't that right, Sarah?
It's hard to remember, actually.
I'm trying to think back, and I do think...
I think they were all virtual. I don't think
they
we met up in person at all.
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten together, which is a bit of a shame, but I think, we're ready for 2020 to be done with, so that we can move into 2021 and hopefully be able to get together and create some more live and in-person events for everybody here.
Yeah, well said. And I think even if you don't think for everyone here who doesn't think maybe they are quite cut out to be a leader or aren't ready to be a leader yet, but you have something interesting to share, I think you can always reach out to us, join the LinkedIn group. You can ping us directly, just tell us like, hey, I think I have something to share at the next user group, and we can line you up, because we're always looking for interesting new content, and we want our community members to be as involved and as engaged as possible.
Yeah, and really do leverage that LinkedIn, the QR codes there on the screen now. If you've got something that you want to share with everybody, or like Celine said, if there's a particular burning topic that you think we should talk about, then we're really interested to get some feedback. And if you're game enough to come and present along with us, we love to see other people.
Cool. So I think with that, we will wrap. We just like 5 minutes short. We'll return it to the people and have a good dinner and a great day ahead.
Yes. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.